Okay, so I'm doing this because it's a challenge to put myself out there in the world by my Forest of Myth professor, and I'm gonna try it. But I do go off in a tangent here. I'm not gonna listen to what I just recorded because it is pretty much I will never ever upload it if I do. Ever, because I will judge myself so hard, so bad. And so I will never be listening to this ever again. Maybe in years from now, who knows? Because, you look back on your old journals and everything that you've ever done and you learn from yourself, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do, is learn from ourselves, learn from our past, not just like look at it and be like, oh, cool, let's do that again. But so I'm putting myself out there, and I'll see how it feels, and how it, churns up, if it churns up anything after I do. So here it goes. I should have known that, the creator, let's look at the God of the Old Testament. That creator, that God, didn't want me to step outside of his story. He didn't want me to make one of my own. That God of the Old Testament, like, he would be the God that would be prepared to tear down everything in my world if I decided I wanted my own story, right? So, but we have all those, we have those moments of weakness, that are created in our mind, where we think that everything is, I don't know, pointless. And if we want to survive, you need to step up and fight for what's yours, I guess. But you know what? That's easier said than done. And I'm not going to go down into that hole, because that's a whole basket of snakes. Anyways, I always believed that my God, or my creator, whatever you want to call it, always made me a minor role. And I guess I didn't ever question that, because I never really, I don't know why, I didn't care. But like, creating me as a background character of the story that he wrote for me. And it was just like, I followed that and I just went on like, it is what it is, right? I always said that. It is what it is. But now that I'm outside of those pages, in a new walking testament, I guess, I'm not really completely sold on his version of things. Like, why should I resent the body and the mind that I have to reside in? Why should I fight my desires or my, wants or whatever because of the world's opinions of those exact desires, wants, whatever it is? Why should I have to suffer in order to appease the world's view on what it is and what it means, the world thinks as a good person or the right thing to do? Why should I have to resent myself because I can't live up to the standards of what the world deems, the bar, I guess? Why should I have to work so damn fucking hard? Oops. Why should I have to work so damn hard to fit into the repetitive story that keeps being retold? I'm sick. I'm sick, and I mean literally bile-inducing fucking... And I'm sick, and I mean literally bile-inducing sick of spinning on this merry-go-round of life that wouldn't slow down for me to pick up my feet and stop dragging me along in its endless path. So I had to reclaim control of my life and stop being part of the repetition, that was being told all around me. The creation's version of my story wasn't the same as mine, and I knew that I would have to fight for what I wanted my story to be. The scary thing about stepping away from that story that's always been told, the merry-go-round of life, the one that spins around and around, is, well, no one wants to believe you when you speak up and tell them that they think they're in control, but they don't even realize that their master is truly, living within them, controlling everything they do. They think themselves to be themselves, but really there's something controlling them that's not really their true self. You know, it's a scary thing to let go of and trust that the ground isn't far away, I guess. Because, you know, if you're on that merry-go-round and you're being dragged, why don't we just let go? Why do we let the merry-go-round keep dragging us around? Or, you know, hoping that somebody stops pushing it, I guess. You know, like, how hard is it? Oh, you keep dragging your feet, but you just keep going. Well, let go. Well, why? Is that going to hurt more or something, you know? No, it's like we believe that if we let go, there's an endless pit behind us that will like swallow us up into a, you know, out of existence. But really, it's an illusion. The ground's just beneath us, and even if you fall, you won't fade out of existence. You'll just get up, dust your knees off, maybe a scrape here or something, and then get back on. Or you leave the park, you go home, you forget about the merry-go-round. You know what it felt like to be on the merry-go-round, but you don't like live in the oh my gosh, the next day, oh, gotta keep living in that memory of the merry-go-round I fell off of. Fuck. You know, like, why would I want to like relive that horrible experience of, being dragged and then falling off and then scuffing my knee and, go home and keep retelling the same story to everybody. You know, like, oh my gosh, you got to hear about my story of how I hurt myself and how bad it was. Let me share with you my past reality that was so horrible. No, sharing that does nothing. But if you can take that, go home and realize, like, and learn from it and be like, you know what? Maybe I should have let go earlier. Maybe I shouldn't have got on the merry-go-round in the first place. The kids that I was playing with were assholes. You know, I should have known better. You know, but like, instead of, you know, retelling the story, you got to know better to like learn to not go on the merry-go-round next time. You go there, you see those same group of kids there playing, you don't go and, maybe they'll be different this time. Maybe they'll be nice. Maybe they won't keep pushing it when I'm dragging my feet. No, you learned your lesson. You don't go on the fucking merry-go-round. Go to a different park. Gosh, tell your parents I want to go to a different park. Those 3 boys are bullies. You know, that's the world that I used to live in. You know, like the world's a bully. You know, and it wasn't until I realized, like, oh my gosh, I'm the one that keeps going in and playing with the world again. I'm the one that keeps going back to the world to play, thinking that I'm gonna get a different world, you know? And you have to step outside of the world but where do you step outside of? If this is the world that we're in, where do you step outside of? The only place to step outside of is to go inside. Since you can't literally step outside of the world, the only place away from the world that is a world within itself, I guess, is inside of you. It's the door into yourself. It is literally a world inside of the world, which is in your mind, which is outside of your mind, because once you step through that door, you're in a different world, and you bring that world back into this world, and then you're no longer in that old world of the merry-go-round that you used to play in, you know, with those bullies and stuff. All of a sudden, those bullies aren't coming to that park anymore, or the bullies got in trouble with their parents because so we're smart enough to learn, like, hey, Ma, those boys are bullies, and then, you know, the mom went and talked to the other mom, and then they scolded their boys, and those boys never touched you. They never did anything to you ever again, because you learned from it. You either, you know, you didn't just suck it up and then go back and play again, you know? It's like stepping back into the world, learning from what you didn't like, you know, instead of just being like, I guess I'll try it again. But I don't know. I've never been written as the main character, but I think that I was like meant to almost sometimes play the villain in someone else's fairy tale sometimes, you know, in the past. Now I'm outside of those pages. I've made it literally my duty, my goal, to set everything straight and make sure that my ego is the only one who's playing the role of any villain in my life. And actually, you know, I'd like to transcend that too. But it's, you know, that is complicated. But I'll make sure that every time he tries to change me, which every second of every day, it seems like he's changing the strategy, or, you know, of how I react once I learn something. It's like, well, let's go over this way, and she won't expect this. because she thought she learned her lesson so much, and it's like it never stops. It's like you think you're oh, once I get this, once I get to this next level, oh, it's gonna be done and I'm gonna know everything I need to know. But then you get to that next level and you're like, I'm lower than I was before. I don't know anything anymore, and it's like, you think once I attain this, and you just keep seeking and seeking, and it never stops. It just never stops. It's crazy. It never stops. But I don't know. Sorry, I'm kind of, this is how my mind works. It just goes off into these holes and these different avenues, and it never stops. But it seems like I'd rather have it like that than on the merry-go-round, where I'm just going around in circles and circles and circles on the same issue. I've known so many people my whole life where they're like, oh my gosh, I think you're reading too much into this. I think you're reading too deep into this. And I'm like, are you serious? You're not reading deep enough into this. I mean, don't you want to know what's beneath the surface of this reality? Don't you want to know why your hands are the way they are? Like, why you think the way you think, why you do certain particular things, why you have certain particular traits? Don't you want to read deeper into why did you pick that book? Why did you choose that movie? Why did you, choose that drug? Why did you choose to drink that coffee, or, whatever it is? Don't you want to know maybe why you do the things you do? Or, I mean, I do. I want to know why I think the way I think, why feelings come, why emotions are so penetrating and without warning sometimes, and they come out of nowhere. It's crazy how you could feel one way 1 minute, and then the next minute you don't even know where it came from, but you're feeling a completely different emotion. You don't know what set it off, but the possibilities are endless of what actually caused you to have that emotion. It could have been you literally seeing the color blue in the corner of a room, and your subconscious knows why you're all of a sudden sad, but you don't know until so much self-reflection that all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, it's because of when I was younger, I had a cat that sat on a blue blanket in the corner of my room, and that cat went missing, and all of a sudden you realize it was what my eyes were seeing, but my mind didn't know. But my eyes were seeing something of an emotion that wasn't healed in me, and it had to bring this emotion up because the eyes see. If you feel about eyes to see, once your eyes can see, because you keep feeding your eyes, your ears, you keep feeding that. That's like food to your soul. Even if you don't want to do it, just keep looking and seeing and ingesting it, I guess. But once my eyes saw that, it's like it fed myself, but I wasn't consciously aware of it. I wasn't in this world aware of it, but it was almost to that part of me that was bringing it in was like, what are you ignoring me for? And then the emotion arises. The emotion rises up because you're not seeing what your eye, the what do you call it? The eye, all-seeing eye sees, the symbol. You're not seeing the symbol. You're not even acknowledging the symbol. So it has to give rise to an emotion. It has to, because you're not listening to it. And it's like, if you're going to have me in this world with you, and you only use it when you want to consciously use it, no, this isn't going to feel very good. And so you always have to be vigilant for the messages, because they're everywhere, and they're in things that you would think well, why would that blue shirt in the corner of my room that I threw there, and when I threw it there, didn't, but all of a sudden it must have been sitting in a certain way, and you get that, deja vu, I guess you'd call it, almost like that Groundhog's Day feeling, oh my gosh, this is, and then when the emotion comes, that's what's really confusing, the emotion, because the emotion can be happy, it can be sad, it can be lonely, it can, I don't know, there's so many, and it's when you ignore the emotion, because you consciously think there's no rational reason why I should be feeling abandoned right now when looking at a corner of my room and I see this blue shirt crumpled up. Why? And that's when it hits you. I felt like I abandoned my cat, or my cat went missing and I was abandoned. But there's that abandonment feeling. Because I've never been abandoned I've never been abandoned. I grew up in a family that you'd call my childhood perfect, I guess, you know? And, I mean, I would anyways. But where is this feeling of abandonment coming from? Was it me abandoning a creature that I was to care for that meant so much to me because it meant so much to someone else I knew, you know? And it was a memory that because, okay, I'm going to say, you know, like my cat, I did have a cat that went missing, and it was my best friend's cat, and it was his and his girlfriend's cat, and yeah, it was their cat, and she died in a car accident. And after she died, I took the cat because, you know, he had kind of like gone down, he was not doing very well. I mean, it would be really hard to lose someone that you love, especially being so young. And so I took the cat, and it meant a lot to me because it was my best friend's cat, and it was this girl's cat it was a memory of both of them, I guess, you know? And so when he went missing, I felt that it was my fault, even though it was nobody's fault. You know, this is just how it is what it is, right? You know? But I felt that I had abandoned my responsibility of caring for this memory, which is what it was, a memory of a person, you know, like it was my connection to them or her, you know, him. It was my connection to that relationship. And as soon as he was gone or went missing, then what? That relationship that is severed and it's not there anymore, or, you know, like that's where obviously there's something that hasn't been healed, because since then I've had my current cat like went missing twice right when I got him, you know, like, and I didn't understand. I'm like, why do I keep going through this lesson of losing something that, you know, especially something like a cat that means so much to me, and like I'm very aware of it and very it's on the surface level of my mind that I don't want to lose my cat, so I want to make sure I get a tile, you know, like so I can make sure that I get, you know, him microchipped, everything, and then it still happens. And those feelings while that cat is gone for however many hours, days, or whatever, it's like an emptiness. It's an abandoned feeling. It's that abandonment, feeling so alone, feeling like you're never going to see that thing again, that animal, that thing you love, that beloved person, pet, whatever it is, you know, obviously pet, but it's deeper than that. It's a deeper feeling. It's like feeling alone and feeling responsible for your loneliness, which no one wants. I don't want to feel responsible and be like, oh, it's my fault that I'm alone. It's my fault that I'm feeling this way because I knew better and I should have not done what, you know, I should have respected the animal instead of like grabbing him to bring him outside to show somebody else, you know, whatever it is. I should have known better to make myself not lonely. I should have known better than to allow that to happen, where now I'm feeling like I will never see this thing I love ever again, and it's gone forever. And that, you know, that feeling is it's an emptiness, and it's right in the like center of your stomach, like you know, that sacral chakra area. It's a hollow feeling that feels like food doesn't fill it, other words don't fill it, nothing will fill it but that thing you lost. And especially when you realize the time, you know, the moment you realize like that thing you lost, that particular thing you lost is never coming back. Well then how do I fill that? Where do I find the puzzle piece? If I know that the puzzle piece got thrown in the trash and I'm never going to see it again. Do I create my own puzzle piece? Like, well, how am I going to fill that hole? You know, like, it's almost like, no, I need the original piece. But do we need the original piece to fill? I mean, or is there a way of filling that hole or filling that missing, that emptiness with something? Or do we even need to fill it with something? I mean, maybe it should be empty. Maybe the fullness was wrong. Maybe that's the angle I need to go on this. Maybe the fullness, because I was so comfortable in living in that fullness, like not losing anything, like my whole, you know, and that's probably wrong. That's probably completely wrong. But like, you get comfortable one way of feeling full, like, oh my gosh, it's so in abundance. I have so much, and then all of a sudden that thing that you're just so used to having goes away. And maybe, well, what filled it? What made it full in the first place? Like something had to have created it to feel fullness before it can feel emptiness. What preceded fullness? Well, emptiness did. So maybe the abandonment feeling is actually not as bad as what I'm making. Why am I making it to be so bad? And naming it, that's another thing. Naming it, abandonment, It's like abandoned. Let's see what that is. Abandonment. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to Google abandonment and see what it means. Abandonment. Okay, the action or fact of abandoning or being, that is not, that's just saying it, that's rhetorical. Okay, desertion, neglect, stranding, jilting, betrayal, disuse, evacuation, evacuation, renunciation, rejection, withdrawal, dropping, cessation, terminate, stopping, surrender, dispension. So, this is making a little bit more sense, I guess, now, because I've dealt with an addiction my whole past 15 years or whatever, and I still use something right now that my body, if I don't take it, it goes into withdrawal, and withdrawal is one of the words of abandonment. So maybe abandonment, naming it abandonment and being like, I've never dealt with abandonment before. Oh my gosh, have I dealt with withdrawal? Or even rejection? No, not, yeah. Betrayal, not, disuse, yes, and I've disused things a lot. Neglected myself, desertion, renunciation, let's see. That is the formal rejection of something, typically a belief, claim, or course of action, a renunciation. So yeah, so right now I'm kind of rejecting the old world. So when my feelings of abandonment come up, it is literally my reaction to my rejection of the old world that is not sitting very well with my unconscious, subconscious, or something. Because obviously, when you live a certain way for, 36 years, and then, overnight you change, and then you wake up in a new world, but you don't know it's the new world because you still think it's the old world because it looks like the old world. It walks like a duck, talks like a duck. Oh, it's a duck. No, but it's not. Even though it looked like it walked and talked like the old world, this world, it's like an overlay or something. I'm still seeing the old world, but new rules, new laws, but like on a different level. Like, I'm going to tell you a story today, just a little bit ago, actually. I was putting my cat's food in their, their container or whatever. And I remember looking down on the floor, and don't judge, my tattoo gun was on the floor. And I remember thinking, oh, the needle's still in it, because I'm lazy and I, obviously didn't take it apart when I was done using it. And I remember thinking, oh, shoot, I can't reuse that needle again. I know, don't judge. But so I was like, I should really pick that up, because what if my cats get poked with it or something? Not that, that would probably hurt. It wouldn't really I don't know, whatever. But I remember thinking, looking down on the ground, seeing it on the floor, and then putting my cat's food in their bin, and then putting the cap on. And it was laying on the floor. And then I come up to the table and I look on the table, and my tattoo gun is on the table now. And it was literally within seconds of each other. I looked on the floor, I saw it sitting next to the bin on the floor, and being like, oh man, I should really pick that up. There's the needle's in it still. Oh, I can't reuse it. And then from there to going up to the table with the cat food bag, and I was like, wait, I did a double take, because I've seen my reality change before. I've seen, looking for something and not being able to find it, and then an hour later, all of a sudden, it's in the middle of the room, laying on the floor. What? How could I have missed this? How could I have missed this? It was right in the middle of the floor. But to happen within, almost like a blink of an eye. I've never experienced that. And I mean, and I don't have more than one, tattoo pen. No, like I don't have more than one. I mean, and I keep like looking down on the ground because I'm like, well, maybe I saw something. No, I saw the needle. Like I saw the cartridge on the, and thinking like, oh shoot, And I mean, instantly, it being up there, maybe I could have grabbed it and put it up on there. But I mean, I had my hands full with the cat food. And then when I brought the bag up to the table, my hands were still, both of them on both sides of the cat bag, the cat food bag. And there's the freaking tattoo gun. It was just, so I was just like, what just happened, And I don't know, it's just the weirdest thing, Like, I've never experienced it that quick before. It's stuff like that, though, that confirm every time they happen. I know there's the term and people use it, shock and awe. I use that shock and awe as those things that happen where, you're going along your life and, like oh, it's just the regular world again. And then all of a sudden something happens that's just it's like a shock where you just are like, whoa, and you do a double take like that. And then you realize after you do the double take, like you're just shocked that something was so synchronistic or something just worked out so perfectly. You can't write that shit, right? Because no one would believe it. They'd be like, oh, that's a good fairy tale. But you're like, no, it's real. That really happened. That really happened. They're like, I'm sure that really happened. Oh, I'll believe it when I see it. It's like, that's when those shock and awes, they're like, oh, I believe it when I see it. And then you see it, you're like shocked because you're like, oh, I said I'd believe it when I see it. Now I'm seeing it. Now I'm going to tell people and they're going to say, oh, good story, bro. And so you're shocked. And then all of a sudden you realize, you're in awe because you realize like it can only be divine intervention that made that shock happen. That's the only answer for it. Any other answer, you couldn't even time the steps down for it to like happen like that. And it happens so quick. It is a shock. You're just literally, going and doing your thing. And that's the thing about it is that's what life is about. It's about the shock and the awe. So you do the shock and then you get the awe and you're in awe of the presence of something greater and more intelligent, like a divine intelligence, pure, like, the unified field of, pure intelligence, that absolute intelligence, which is God to me. That's what I call it. Or I call it my creator or whatever you want, the thing that created all things, that creates all things, that creates all things. What was before that? Well, there was nothing before that because it's always existed. And, we can't even understand infinity. We can't even in physics and all that, they go far from anything that uses infinity as a part of the equation. They'd rather put sixes in there, like loops, where it's looping around on itself and let it go on forever than to say it's just infinite. It's so crazy. I learned that in my physics class this last month, and it's like they'd rather limit it than to not be able to like do a math problem with it. It's silly, because it could take you forever to do the problem. And they're like, well, it's still doable. It might just take years and years and hundreds and thousands of years. But you know what? It's better than saying like, we have to put this infinity in there and it just keep going on forever because then no one will ever be able to finish it ever. And I don't know, it's kind of like, it's asinine. It's so crazy that they think like, oh, that's so much better than just saying it's infinite because their brain can't comprehend it and their brain, it's just, but anyways, back to the shock and awe. So the shock and awe, you have the shock because you see something so synchronistic, so amazing, so beautiful, so out of the ordinary, but like it shocks you into like a different state of like, it's like a glitch. It's literally like a glitch. And I love, obviously in my art that I do, I love glitches because glitches, I could talk about glitching. It does something to your brain. When you're looking at an image and you see a glitch happen, and it's really quick, it's really fast, and And the way that glitches are made, it's so interesting because you can make glitches, like actual visual pictures, out of sounds or words or images. And I mean, writing, you could make a bunch of ones and zeros and make it glitch and overlay it over top of an image. And your our subconscious, our unconscious, the like unified field of pure intelligence, which is creates all things and all that, good stuff. It knows the glitch code. And so let's say the glitch is intentional. Let's say that I wanted to send love to my daughter, and I glitched it with a picture of her and I, or like a song, or even me just saying, I love you, Ava. And I went and I transferred that message, I love you, into a, not an audio file, but like it'll come out as a code, 1 0, letters, everything. You can take that and then you can turn it back into an image, and lots of times it will look like a spasmed, like it's spasming, and use that as glitch art or whatever. I mean, that's pretty much the whole thing about. But the thing is, when she looks at that image, let's say I make her a video and I say I love you, and that glitch is in there. Her unconscious mind, her subconscious, her whatever, the thing that's like the superposition, like the spooky action at a distance, thing where we're connected to everything and everything has a equal, something, a part of itself connected to something else. If you've ever came into contact with a person ever in your life, you leave an energy connection between you two. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, you have a connection. And so the more connected you are with somebody on a emotional scale, or the more you hang around them, the more you have that actual magnetism towards them, or what happens to one person could happen, you'd feel it in another. That's why mothers you sometimes feel when their child is in danger because of the connection of birth. I mean, and blood is the life. I mean, it's the lifeblood of, and so when you make it your child is, that blood is going through their veins. That child is you you are the creator of that child who is you. But who created you? Well, your mother, who created them, and it goes back through the blood to the beginning of time. It doesn't ever get disconnected, no matter how much you want to dilute it down. It never gets disconnected, because it just can't. Once it's something, it can never be something that it's not, because it's always going to be that beginning something, which is the creation, the beginning of everything, which is infinite. And so, anyways, back to the glitching thing. So when she sees that, let's say, and I have that glitch, I just put it in there for a second, her conscious mind won't know anything about, nothing about it. But her eternal, unconscious mind will see that glitch, and it will do something. This is just a theory. It's my opinion. It's just a theory. But it will do something inside of her brain where it will, and the quicker it happens, the quicker that your subconscious can jump over into your conscious mind, but not where you're consciously aware of it. But it almost is like tapping on your mind when you see those glitches. And even if the glitch has no purpose to it, let's say it's just a random number or whatever, but I don't believe in no purpose and anything. I think everything happens for a reason. So even if you see a glitch that's 702714, even that number right there, that could mean something for somebody. Oh my gosh, I don't know. And I don't know how you're going to take it, but all of a sudden it could mean something for someone, and change their life. Who knows? But we see those glitches, and it's it's the rattling of, I don't know, of reality. The more you see something that you're used to seeing, but then it glitches out and becomes something else for a split second, and it's not what you're nor used to seeing. It's something that okay, well, that's a cat, and all of a sudden it glitches in, and it looks it's still a cat, but it's something else too, overlaying it. It makes you question. It's really hard to explain, but glitches are the things that I think have been a big catalyst for my shifting in reality, because I love that art. I always have, and I don't know why. It's just, but that's me, I synthesize things, and I don't want to hear anything about, what do you call it? Synthetic timelines, all that bullshit. That's what it is. It's a bunch of bullshit, because I am the synthetic timeline and I'm the natural timeline. I'm both. And I'm neither of them too, because everything has more, there's the one side, and then there's the other, and then there's the truth. No, there's the one side, the other, and then the third, and they're all true, and they're all not true, and they're, one's true, and it's all the same thing. And when you realize that there is no right and wrong, but there is too, but there isn't. It's very convoluted when it comes to thinking in a 3D like perspective, looking at it. Because if I said like murder's not wrong, yes, murder's freaking wrong. Yes, of course it is. But also, what if it's a father saving his child and he murders someone? Yeah, it's wrong, but it's not wrong. But you said it was wrong. It's wrong. Well, he was saving his child. Well, okay. Well, you know what? Then I guess there's a gray area where maybe it's not always wrong sometimes. Well, murder is always. Well, you just said it. He was saving his child, so he murdered him. He still did the act of murdering. Well, that wasn't murder. That was just kill. Well, you know what? Same thing. Someone died. Someone lost a life. So is it wrong or is it right? So I think it's deeper than just the 3-dimensional, like what we're seeing on the surface as the act. It's like when I think when the whole thing with the in the Bible it says don't look at when you're in a marriage or whatever, it's not the actual act of cheating on your husband or wife. It's the adultery. It's the thought in your mind. It's the consciousness. Don't even think the thought in your mind. It doesn't matter if you cheat on them or not. Are you thinking about it? Because as soon as the thought rises, and then you entertain it, and then then that's a slippery slope down that way. So I don't know. This is getting really long, and I was not expecting to actually go into any of the stuff that I went into, but I'm working stuff out on my own within my own mind, I guess. And I'm not going to be listening to this back because it will make me feel super, super awesome, and I don't like listening to myself. So I'm just going to put this out there. If people are listening up to this point, thank you. For allowing me to put this out in the world. I'm doing this because of my professor who told me that I should put my stuff out, into the world. And this is something that, why does it bother me so much? Why does it bother me to be authentic and be myself and this is who I really am. When I think deeply, and I think in lots of directions, and I think in a lot of weird freaking ways, man. And then, deeply about everything all the time. And it never goes away anymore. It's like, I thought that my, thoughts were, like this when I was younger. But dang, once you really begin to, look into this stuff, not even look, no, I didn't even ask for this. But once it starts happening to you, which I really think I died. I think I died, I really think I died. And I woke up in a new world. And I had to relearn all the rules. And I don't know if there's as many. That's the thing. I had to relearn all the rules. But the rules are still the same. I got to learn that, everyone was breaking the rules before. But me. It was like a big joke. But I was the butt of the. I felt like I was in a world before where I was am I the only one who doesn't know the rules? And everyone else is cheating? That's what it felt like. It felt like I was in a world before where they're shh, don't tell Missy. When you're at your friends and everyone's mad at you and you're in middle school and they're oh, don't tell her that we're going to do this and she's not going to know. That's what it, looking back into the old world, the way that I used to think, I was the naive girl, the new girl that everyone didn't like, but no one's going to tell her we don't like her because we're all going to do this and then she won't even know, but we're all going to get 3 cookies at lunch. And she won't, and she'll be what? How did you guys get those? Oh, we don't know. Guess you just don't know how to add, fuck. That's what it feels like. And then looking back, I at first had a lot of resentment, towards a lot of people and groups and organizations and I think that's a vital part about this awakening or whatever you want. I don't even like calling it that. I don't like using terms because when you realize that all of the terms have a secret, not even secret, have double and triple, quadruple meanings. And then you're whoa, you're reading it now because we have access to everything. And you read it and you're I didn't know that meant that. I didn't know abandonment meant, I do know abandonment means withdrawal now, but I would have never, oh, renunciation. Oh, that's what feelings of abandonment are. Renunciation, formal rejection of something, typically a belief or a claim or something. Well, I would have never connected abandonment to rejection of a formal belief, oh, no, I would have been like, oh, abandonment means I was left and sad. No, you could have been rejecting a belief system, and now it's because you don't have that belief filling you anymore, you feel empty and abandoned by that belief. That belief up and left you. Or no, you renunciated the belief, and now you have a hole there where the belief used to fill. So you're like, whoa, what am I going to eat that's going to fill this hole in my belief system plate, Well, I'm not going to fill it with another belief system, that's for fucking sure. Because then when I find out that belief system's hypocritical and not right, because everything has a dualistic aspect to it, where it's like it's wrong. Oh no, it's right too, but it's wrong. And then it's like if I pick one or the other and put it in, oh, I'll eat that belief. And oh, that's where like in the when he's like, oh, it sounds so good, it's good to the tongue but bitter in the belly. Yeah, because you ate the belief, and then once you get it in your stomach, you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have eaten that. Oh no, it was not right. I'm a hypocrite or whatever. Yeah, because it says in the teachings of Jesus Christ, he says it's bitter in the stomach, even though it's sweet to the lips. So you hear a belief system. So I'm not picking up any more beliefs to fill that abandonment or renunciation hole or whatever it is. Maybe I can just learn to live with that hole, because sometimes, like emptiness is fullness. Because we know that everything is its dichotomy, that's the opposite. So emptiness is fullness. And so if I fill it with a belief, then when I don't have that, when I find out that it's bitter and I get rid of it, then I have to go through all those feelings all over again. Yeah. So I'm not going to fill this abandonment. I guess I'm going to have to learn to live with that feeling and embrace the feeling, I guess. Like when you're feeling that alone, or I don't know, it's like nothing is really I don't suffer like I remember I used to suffer when I'd feel sad, or when someone would say something and I don't know. I'm not going to go into this. This is getting to be almost 40 minutes long. Oh my gosh. So if you're here with me up into this point, that means that I said something that maybe resonated. I hate that word too. That clicked with you, I guess. Yeah, I'll use that word. Clicked. That clicked with you. And I guess if you're not subscribed, not saying that. Anyways, I'm going to end this now because it's, almost 45 minutes, but that's how it goes too. When you're figuring stuff out on your own and you're talking it out either with another person or you're writing it, or I guess now I'm talking into I do this normally, but I never post them because that's crazy. I don't know, nobody needs to hear my inside thoughts. Well, nobody watches my shit anyways, so might as well put it out there in the freaking world because nobody watches it anyways. And, it is pushing on how I actually, I guess, anything that is uncomfortable means that you're alchemizing. There's stuff going on a deeper level, and especially the uncomfortableness or the confusion, that means there's growth happening. It means that those fires are being stoked in the pot, and, you're stirring something up. And what happens when you